So our next topic is valuation of equity shares. Thus far we have learned how to value bonds or debentures and even preference shares. So this is the last concept of the chapter. How do you value equity shares? How do you find out the present value of equity shares? Here again there are two models under valuation of equity share. One is you're finding out the present value based on dividend capitalization model. Second model is earnings capitalization model. So the first part talks about based on the dividends earned by the equity shareholders. There are four formulas under this. The first formula is single period model, where you are holding the equity share only for 1 year. That means you're purchasing today, you're holding it for one complete year. So by next October, you're going to sell that share. So what is the price of that particular share at the end of first year? So present value of equity shares equals to D1 stands for dividend and small d stands for discount rate. So dividend divided by 1 plus discount rate to the power of 1, price at the end of 1 year, and 1 plus d to the power of 1. So if you're holding the equity share for 1 year and then selling it, then that question comes under single period model. Moving on, the second part, double period model. Just the opposite, right? If you're holding the equity share for 2 years and then selling it, then how many years will you earn dividend? For 2 years, and then you're going to sell it. So present value of equity shares equals to D1 divided by 1 plus d to the power of 1, D2 divided by 1 plus d to the power of 2, and price at the end of second year. Here it is P1 if you can remember, and here it is P2. So P2 divided by 1 plus d to the power of 2. So these are the first two formulas under dividend capitalization model. So moving on to the next two formulas under dividend capitalization model. When dividend rate is constant, so certain companies, irrespective of the profits, they pay a constant amount or percentage of dividend to their equity shareholders. In that case, the formula is present value of equity shares equals to D1 divided by D. That is the dividend earned divided by the discount rate. Fourth case, when dividend rate is growing at a constant rate. So certain companies fix a growth rate. Now this year you have earned 5% on your equity shares return or dividend. Next year it's going to be, the growth rate is going to be 2% every year. So that 2% of growth every year is termed as growing rate or the growth rate. In that case, the formula is present value of equity shares equals to D1, that is dividend, divided by discount rate minus the growth rate. G stands here for growth rate. It will be provided in the question. So that completes your first model, dividend capitalization model. The second part model is earnings capitalization model, where you will find out the present value of equity shares based on the earnings of the company or the profits of the company. The formula is E divided by D. What does E stands for? Earnings per share. So the company in the question will give you the profits the company has made or the EPS per head, right? What is the EPS per head shareholder will be given to you, and the discount rate. So you have to divide to get the answer of present value of equity shares. So these are all your formulas for the last concept. Let's solve the first question under the topic. The question is giving you dividend at the first year is ₹20. The discount rate is 11%. The time period mentioned is 1 year. So it's one period model. And the price at the end of 1 year is ₹190. So how do we decide if it's a one period model or two period model? Whenever the question is mentioning about the price of equity share, it will definitely mention at the end of first year, at the end of second year. So therefore, if it's end of the first year, it is one period model. End of the second year, it is double period model. So let's solve this question. The formula for one period model is D1 divided by 1 plus D to the power of 1. So dividend is 20 rupees. 1 plus D, 1 plus 0.11 to the power of 1 plus P stands for 190 divided by 1 plus 0.11 to the power of 1. So end up in 20 divided by 1.11, 190 divided by 1.11. This gives you 18 rupees and 171 is 189 rupees. So present value of equity share is 189 rupees. Question on valuation of equity shares. Let's look at the given question. Question number 38. Details are the equity shareholder is holding the equity share for 3 years. Reason, they have given the dividend for 3 different years. That means the period of the equity share is 3. Dividend 1 is 7, dividend 2 is 8, dividend 3 is 10. The discount rate is at 12% and the price at the end of third year is rupees 240, and we have to find out what is the present value of the equity share today. This is the formula. Now we have the formula only for double period valuation model, right? Even though the question is mentioning you 3 years, 4 years dividend, the formula remains the same, right? If this question has 3 years. Now there's a question asking you 5 years, you're just going to extend the formula here. D4 divided by 1 plus D to the power of 4, D5 divided by 1 plus D to the power of 4 plus P5 divided by 1 plus D to the power of 5. So likewise you have to change the formula or extend the formula. Now once we are solving it, dividend at the first year is 7, 8, 10 and 240 and divided by to the power of 1 plus 0.12, and then when we simplify we arrive at the answer 6.25 at the first year, 6.37 at the end of second year, 7.12 at the end of 3 years, and the price at the end of third year is 170.83. So once we add up all the dividends plus the price, we end up with the answer 190.57. So the present value of the equity share today is 190.57, almost 191 rupees. So next question is 39th question, where we have dividend given rupees 30 and the discount rate is at 16%. Now here the dividend is not growing, the dividend is constant. Every year the equity shareholder will be earning rupees 30 as dividend. So what is the formula is present value of equity shares equals to dividend divided by discount rate, that is 30 divided by 0.16 will give you an answer of 187.5 rupees. So this is the present value of equity share. So next up, question number 41. Dividend is 8 rupees. Discount rate is 12%, and the question mentions the dividend is growing at the rate of 10%. The growth rate is mentioned here. So how do we find out the present value? D divided by discount minus the growth rate. So 8 rupees divided by 0.12 minus 0.1 will give you 400 rupees. So 400 rupees is the present value of equity share when its dividend is growing at a constant rate. So your next question deals about the last model, that is the earnings capitalization model, where we are going to talk about the 43rd question here. The given details are earnings of the company is 22 rupees and the discount rate is 13%. And the formula goes E divided by D, that is earnings divided by discount rate. So 22 divided by 0.13, 169.23. So this is the present value of equity share. So this is the last question for the concept of valuation of equity shares. Now the question has given you the earnings earned by the company in a particular year. So earnings is rupees 1 lakh, and the question talks about how many equity shareholders are there in the company. It is 10,000 equity shareholders, and capitalization rate, or otherwise called as discount rate, is 12%. Now here, in order to find out present value of equity shares, we need dividend, but dividend is not given, but earnings is given and number of equity shares is given. So with this information we can find out the dividend of the company. So dividend equals to earnings divided by number of equity shares. So 1 lakh divided by 10,000 will give you 10 rupees. So per shareholder will give, or per shareholder will earn 10 rupees. Now we can solve present value of equity shares. E divided by D is 10. We have found out. So 10 divided by 0.12 is the capitalization rate. So your answer is 83.33 rupees. So this is the present value of equity shares.